Peace once again, my fellow expressions of consciousness. If you are new to my channel, what I do here is I help point people out of the limited belief that they are a limited being, because it's not true. We can perceive the experience, but not the experiencer. So, top 10 things that children teach us about life, about what is actually true. Number 1, time does not actually exist. It's adults playing a game called time. When you was a kid, did you not have to learn what time it was? Did you not have to try to understand what people meant when they said soon? Or when your parents said, one day we'll go to Disneyland, one day you'll go to school. What is one day? I know Monday to Sunday. When is one day? How long is soon? How long is one moment? These things did not make sense as kids, did they? Because they are a learned agreement, a learned construct that we use in our world. So children remind us that time doesn't actually exist, not in nature. This is why they have a hard time understanding you when you're telling them, behave because soon daddy will come home. Behave because soon this will happen. One day this will happen. This is why they keep asking you when you're on the car, in the car, for example, driving to a destination. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Flashbacks of The Simpsons. I remember feeling like that, don't you? When are we there? How long does it take? What is length in terms of time? When are we there? Because time just felt so weird. Because it's actually not a reality outside of the agreed belief, agreement of it. It's a construct, as we know, as I've said many times on this channel. So children remind us that as adults, as teenagers, we are playing a game called time. It doesn't actually exist. Number 2, freedom is our birthright. Kids are so free that they will run in the street without a care in the world. They'll run in your house, in the house, without a care in the world. They will pick up something that we would say they shouldn't, because to them there's something to pick up, I'm going to pick it up. They are free of any chains mentally. Of course, as the adult, if they're picking up something dangerous, that's actually dangerous, you help them. But I'm just saying, they are free from any concept such as danger or even freedom. It's just normal, it's their birthright. They are free. We say they are innocent because they are so free. And because they don't have any indoctrinations yet, that's why we say they are innocent. And that's what we enjoy when we look into a child's eyes. Yeah, it makes us feel good ourselves because we see the innocence reflected back to us that is our true nature. Because we are also innocent beings. We are also pure, free beings. Kids reflect that back to us. As soon as you look at a kid laughing, smiling, just being happy. Why? Because it's their normal state. As I've said many times, happiness is our essential being. Not the happiness that comes and goes, just pure bliss, maybe would be a better word. So kids remind us that essentially we are freedom itself, it's our birthright. But we impose so many laws onto our particular society that we forget that actually we are really free. The way we perceive certain things limits us. Doing jobs we don't wish to do makes us feel enclosed. Makes us feel tied down. The opposite of freedom. But kids evidently remind us that actually we are just free. We have created a system that says otherwise. Number 3. Kids remind us that we all need help sometimes. A kid, like a toddler age 2, 3, they will fall down quite often as they are walking, getting used to their little legs. Now, of course, you can lead them if they are safe to help themselves, back up, which is good in a safe way. But sometimes you have to help them, of course. A baby has to be helped. You have to rub its back so it can burp, it can belch. You have to feed and clothe the really young. They need help, but sometimes, just as I said, sometimes they need help to put them back on their feet if they fall over. Sometimes it's best to leave them. They can do it themselves. I'm a big boy, I'm 2 years old. I can do it myself. But in our teenage and adult years, we forget that actually we need help too. Sometimes. We should do things ourselves to grow in our character. But we also do need to, I say need, help sometimes. We feel we can do everything ourselves, but it's not true. We are all expressions of the one. There's no shame in asking for help. A baby, a child will not have any shame asking for help. If they do have, then they've been indoctrinated really young to feel awkward about asking for help, which some small kids do. They have been told to not say anything, seen and not heard, but maybe they need help. So kids remind us as well that we need help sometimes. We don't know everything. We can't do everything. If we could, we'd be Thanos. Even Thanos needed help, actually. So we all need help sometimes, and there's nothing wrong. It's very positive to ask for help. Number 4, it's natural, not arrogant, to take pride in yourself for accomplishing a task. You see kids all the time. They will flap their hands around when they are happy that they were able to do something, whether it's maybe pull a car back, so a toy car, so it shoots off by itself. Oh, I did that. Mummy, look, I did that. Maybe they were able to put their socks on by themselves and they feel happy. Yeah, look, Mummy, Daddy, look what I did. They drew a picture of you, the parent, and you had no legs. But still, they are proud, they are happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. You actually congratulate them, don't you? You don't think to yourself, they shouldn't be prideful about, or proud about what they did, about completing a task that they set out to do. So, again, teenage years and above, as adults, we have this rumor going around that you shouldn't take pride in your actions. Now, of course, there's levels to this. There's degrees to everything. Too much pride, yes, is not good. Not too much pride, but just being allowed to express yourself that you are happy that you were able to finish writing that book. That can be seen as prideful in a negative way, or in a good way. It can be seen as arrogant. I made a book. You post on Facebook. Then other people will be watching that, reading that update, saying, alright, you don't have to tell everybody. So what? Oh, you're so arrogant. You wrote a book. Oh, you're a bestseller. So what? You're so arrogant. No, they're not arrogant. They're doing what is natural, which is, as beings, we take pride, we feel proud when we accomplish a task. It's very simple. So kids remind us that it's completely natural, not arrogant. Of course, depending on the degree. of pride, taking pride in yourself or feeling proud about completing a task. Number 5. Kids remind us to not hold grudges. It's amazing how a kid will, I'm talking young kids, really keep the love for their friend, their sibling going, regardless if that friend or sibling hurt them the day before or even 10 minutes before. They get over it so quickly, generally speaking, of course. So they understand that what's gone, what's done is done and gone. They don't keep it. They don't ruminate in their minds. Oh, I can't believe they took my toy car. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I hate it. I hate you. I hate you. They don't. They understand it's a new moment. It's fresh. Everything is now okay. So we're friends again. So we could learn something by that. We blame people for past actions, even if their current state of being is them trying their best to be a good person. We still say, nah, remember what you did last week, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago. No matter how much they try to make up for it. So kids can teach us that holding grudges is stupid. Kids remind us that shouting at each other, to get a point across, being shouted at feels horrible. You can shout at a kid and they will cry just because you were shouting. If you said the same thing without the shouting, they wouldn't have cried. I remember myself when I was very young, I hated hearing really loud shouts. That angry shout is what I'm talking about. We do it so often in our culture. We're so quick to shout and snap at someone with shouting to get a point across. Of course it's covering up a fear, but I'm not going into that right now. But shouting does not feel nice. We should try not to. We should talk to each other. We will get the message much better. As I said, if you told your child something, for example, and if you shouted at them, which one is really going to stay with them the most? If you really explain to them in a calm way, on their level, versus shouting in an angry way. They're too busy covering their ears, they're too busy wanting the moment to stop, and they're saying yes to whatever you say, yes, 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 rather than really absorb the lesson you're trying to give. So shouting at each other feels horrible. We do it way too much to each other as adults, as teenagers. It's been indoctrinated into us, but I suggest if you are a type of person who reacts with shouting, try not to, because you know it doesn't feel nice. You knew that as a kid, and you see it with kids. If an adult is shouting at them, it doesn't feel nice. It feels horrible. So the next point is crying is a form of self-therapy. I don't have to tell you that kids cry more than anybody. And crying actually helps us. We don't just cry because we are sad. We don't just cry because we are really happy. It's not just because of those emotions. We cry because there comes a certain amount of energy built up in us that needs to be released. It can be released when you're happy, it can be released when you're sad. And of course, releasing energy, releasing feelings, brings us back to equilibrium. Babies and young kids do it the most. After crying, they feel good. You might actually go to sleep. That's how good they feel. Or relaxed, I should say. So never feel that it's wrong or un-adult-like to cry. You actually doing self-therapy on yourself. Of course. You are releasing what needs to be released. You don't have to put a label on it. It's happy tears, it's sad tears, it's past life tears, it's future life tears, it's whatever. You don't have to put a label on it. Simply, the body has a particular amount of energy and it needs to be released for it to then function in a more balanced way. Life is what you make it. Kids remind us that imagination is what's going on here, actually. Life is imagination. You are imagining time, for example, to talk about time again. You are imagining that kicking a football, a ball, is really serious. You are imagining that the screen you are looking at right now has moving images, when actually it's just pixels with different colors changing. So kids will pick up a stick and imagine that stick is magical. It's a wand. It can turn their parent into a frog. They would do it and laugh about it in their imagination. So kids remind us that imagination is an essential part of life, and we do literally make life what we believe it to be. We believe that we have countries, for example. Someone said this is England. Okay. No, it's just a bit of ground, it's grass. There's ground and grass everywhere. Is everywhere England? Is everywhere Italy? Is everywhere Nigeria? No, some are just labeled. So kids remind us again that imagination is essentially what we do when we say such and such is happening or such and such is real. To a certain extent, of course, some things are what they are, but a lot of things, as I explained in my previous examples, are actually imagination. Like borders, as I said, they're imagined, imaginary borders that say this is one country, this is another country. We even imagine that words have meaning. I've spoken about that on a previous video, so I won't go into that now. So yes, we can make anything be. To go on a spiritual level, we imagine this might change some understandings for some so-called New Age spiritual goers. We imagine that holding a pendulum, is there anything I can dangle here? Holding a pendulum, allowing it to circle or go back and forth or do zigzag or whatever it wants to do, is cutting these invisible cords, emotional cords that you have with a thought. That's complete imagination. If it helps you, great, but all I'm saying is it's imagination essentially. And kids remind us that life is full of imagination and we are constantly imagining things into reality. Not being listened to when you are speaking, making your point, can hurt. How frustrated do your kids get when you are cutting them when they are trying to explain something to you? They can't speak as fast as you, so you get annoyed and just cut them when they're trying to explain something to you. They feel sad. They might get angry. Listen to me, Dad. Listen to me, Mom. We've all had that feeling of not feeling heard in a conversation and not liking how that feels. This happens in our teenage years a lot, and even in adult years. You come across people who prefer to hear the sound of their own voice way more than what you have to say in a one-on-one conversation or in a group conversation. So you will be saying something. I experienced this just the other day. You'll be saying something to someone and they will chime in knowing that you was in a conversation, knowing that you just started a conversation with someone else, they will chime in with something else. Oh, did you hear such and such happened last week? Excuse me, I was talking. So it doesn't feel nice to be cut when you're trying to explain something. Nobody likes this feeling, because your energy is flowing, it's flowing, it's flowing, and someone puts a barrier, bang, then you get resistance, you get that. So blocking our flow when we are speaking, being cut, does not feel nice. Kids hate that, and so do we as adults. So kids remind us that, you know, allow each other to express their opinion. And last but not least, it always feels good to receive a genuine hug from somebody. I hope you've enjoyed this list. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expressions of consciousness.